Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Soundodger Plus. This is another game in the same vein as something like Audio Surf or Symphony, which basically allows you to put your own MP3s into a game and then play kind of a Zen-like, but also sort of mixed with bullet hell shooter-style mechanics game that kind of enhances the experience of listening to your own music if you're the kind of person that's into that. This is an Adult Swim Games joint. You may remember them from publishing Volgar the Viking, as well as Super Puzzle Platformer Deluxe and Super House of Dead Ninjas and Fist Puncher this year. So this is like the 5th game that they've published this year. And, you know, like all of those other ones, this one is also pretty decent if you're into that kind of style. There's a lot of stuff to talk about here, but I should also mention that there is a sizable supply of existing tracks in the game. As you can see, not even close to all of these have been unlocked because I've been spending a lot of time dealing with the custom tracks, but artists that are well known within the chiptune scene as well as the video game music scene, such as Danny B and also Disaster Piece, who did the Fez soundtrack. But anyway, why don't we play this Danny B track and we'll get started here and I'll explain just what the heck is going on. So first things first, very minimalistic, stylish visuals, and basically what we're going to try to do is dodge the bullets that are created here. And there's two different kind of styles of play that you can see, or two different styles of level. There is definitely like a level editor kind of deliberate design style that comes out, but there's also the ability for the game to just analyze your MP3s or the songs that you have in your computer and then generate levels from it, although those might not be nearly as good. So our only goal here is to dodge the bullets as they come. So it is a minimalistic game. It is not necessarily a score attacky type game in the same way that something like Symphony was. And in that case, or in that sense, it's a little bit more minimalistic, which I think is going to annoy a lot of people. Oh my god, I'm getting my ass kicked already. It's going to annoy a lot of people, but it also, for me, makes this a much cleaner experience than Symphony was. And I think visually, or I guess from an audio-visual kind of like melding standpoint, I really, really prefer the time that I've spent with this game versus the time that I have spent with Symphony, or that I spent with Symphony last year. Keep in mind, I did play it like a year ago, so it's been a while. Okay, I swear to God, I never do this badly when I'm playing off-camera. It's one of those things where, you know, to play a rhythm game and talk about it at the same time is a little bit difficult, but I'm going to batten down the hatches here and hopefully do a little bit better. So there's a few different kinds of bullets that can come out. This is a relatively easy track. You wouldn't know it by how poorly I'm doing. But there's like these individual shots that come out, which are lighter green, and then there's big waves of shots that come out, which are the kind of chartreuse color there. And we will also eventually see, we saw some kind of like rolling balls, which are bigger but also slower and typically more easy to avoid. And eventually we'll see homing shots and other things of the ilk, which I'll show off later. There is one other mechanic which I have not mentioned, and that is the slow motion here. So if I left click, everything enters slow motion, and this is not tied to anything like a meter. So it's not like you have like some kind of special meter that actually gets depleted the more you do this, but the caveat is when you enter slow motion, you don't gain score anymore. And the only score is actually like it's percentage based. Oh god, what has happened here? That must have been something I didn't see on the first try or didn't remember. Anyway, maybe I got hit at that exact moment on the last try. But there are cool effects like that that occasionally happen. But the score is based on a percentage out of 100, as you might expect. If you dodge everything, never get hit, never use slow motion, you get 100. Every time you get hit, you don't collect score for a certain amount of time. Every time you use slow motion, you don't collect score. So obviously your goal is to eventually get to 100%, but it is not like you're going to be doing Geometry Wars style combo linking or anything like that. It is much more about just kind of maintaining focus and avoiding the shots as they come in. And this might be the end of this level, actually. What's kind of ingenious about the design here is you may notice that like blue circle and then the outer ring as well. The blue circle represents our percentage and the outer ring represents the whole. So we filled about 85% of the circle. That gives us 85% on this track, which is pretty cool. Let's go to an easier track. It's a really kind of neat way to demonstrate how much or how well you're doing on a track without actually you know, causing you to look at a HUD or something like that, because it's just in the background. So you can see it slowly going up there. This is a track from Disaster Piece, again, the artist who was responsible for all or most of the Fez soundtrack. It's a really good song. I apologize for talking over the music that we have here, but even the stuff that is in-game on the actual, or in the files that you get when you get the game is really, really good. It's one of the best in-game soundtracks I have heard from kind of an indie rhythm game like this. Symphony had its own kind of stuff going on as well that I was not necessarily the biggest, oh, that was scary. That I was not necessarily the biggest fan of. This definitely, I think it'll resonate more with you, or if you are a fan of music, like the kind of stuff that was found in Fez, or chiptune music in general, this is going to be way more up your alley. But of course, with a game like this, one of the major focuses is that you can, or one of the major draws, I guess I should say, is that you can use your own files to do your own tracks. And I don't know if I touched on this enough earlier, But it is worth noting that this has both an auto-generation kind of gameplay mode where you can just put your track in and it will analyze it and create a level dynamically based on the kind of ebb and flow of the music, in a similar vein to kind of Audio Surf. But there is also a dedicated level editor, so maybe you auto-analyze your track, and it comes out way too easy. You're like, yeah, Ace of Spades by Motorhead shouldn't be this easy. You can actually go into the level editor yourself and then muck it up a little bit, make it much more difficult, or if necessary, make it much easier, or just make it much cooler. That is totally up to you. So I should add, by the way, that it seems like Soundodger totally sticks to like the new wave shoot-'em-up bullet hell style of dodging, where basically the only part of your ship or object or player where you're vulnerable is the direct center. So we can definitely get hit on the edges of our circle here. Oh, it was really close. We can definitely get hit on the edges of our circle, but if we get hit dead center, then we will actually lose. And I really hesitate to kind of talk over this track, because this one is kind of like a chiptune post-rock or something. I was really digging this when I was playing this off-camera. But yeah, suffice it to say, there is also an online kind of depository of user-created tracks that is currently barren, because I believe that the only press copies have been sent out so far. But assuming you have the rights to your MP3 and you create a level for the game, you can upload it to their servers, and then other people can download it via a server browser, like a file browser. I'm assuming. I've been there, but I did not actually find any other files, because again, this game doesn't come out for a few days now. I believe this comes out October 10th. I should totally mention that it is $5.99 for its opening week sale, and then after that it is going to go up to $8. So a fairly standard price for a game like this. Another thing I want to mention that I oftentimes have a problem with some kind of ambient rhythm games like this. I don't know if it's a good genre moniker for them, because there is some kind of like hardcore gameplay that goes on here, but this is a very, very easy track. This is track 1, so it's kind of like playing heart-shaped box in Guitar Hero 2 or something like that. But everything, because of the simplistic visual style, everything is very, very easy to differentiate from everything else. So a huge problem that I had in Symphony, and I apologize for continuing to reference that game, but if you're not familiar with it. But that's because this genre, there's games in it. Obviously, Beat Hazard is another one. But the ones I'm most familiar with are Symphony and Audio Surf. And there's not too many games in the genre, so it's kind of a narrow realm for comparison. So let's do some auto-generated tracks. Here's the editor. I can bring this up, and, basically I'm not going to bring up the editor at this point. Maybe I will just for a second. I've got one track in here. Actually, I'm worried that this is going to break fraps, so I'm not going to do it. But suffice it to say, it brings up a level editor. There's tutorials available at this website. I mucked around in it for a little while and was able to create kind of a mediocre level, I would say. But it seems like the kind of thing that is neat if you're into making this game a little bit more bullet helly and more difficult, or if you want to just create your own levels. I know Total Biscuit on the Co-optional podcast was talking about how he made a level at PAX, because this was showing at PAX, and it was just an absolute goddamn nightmare to play. So that's kind of cool. I'm not going to actually play it myself, because I would just be like clicking on things and being like, oh, that's kind of cool, but it's neat that it exists in the game. Let's put it that way. We will exit to our title screen here, and why don't we play some auto-generated tracks, and I'll demonstrate how these MP3s work. I hope that this doesn't break fraps. I'm just going to go to my desktop here, and we're going to load up the Spelunky OST, and we're going to go to track 26 here, which is the Yeti Caves sweet saxophone solo. So I bought the Spelunky OST on Bandcamp the other day. I will actually put a link to the Spelunky official soundtrack in the video description below in case you want to buy it for yourself. It's $7, 62 tracks, most of which are in Spelunky, but there's some new ones as well, which is kind of cool. But this is just my way of kind of demonstrating how the auto-generation works. And, this is one of the very, very minor complaints I have about the game, is that compared to something like Audio Surf, I don't necessarily think the auto-generation seems to necessarily reflect the tone and tempo and speed of the music as much as it does in something like Audio Surf. It oftentimes seems like it just kind of creates something in the background that you can kind of play while you're listening to your music. And that's kind of cool, but by the same token, do I necessarily feel like, oh yeah, like I've got to really put like a banging track in this to get a feel for what this game is like? Oh, that ended extraordinarily quickly. Why don't we choose a new song here? And again, I'm hoping that this doesn't break the game. Why don't we go with, we'll go with Turkish Coffee, which is the last song on the Spelunky OST. And hopefully this will be a little bit longer for us. It's also a little bit more hardcore, hopefully. You can see these homing shots, by the way, as we come in here. But yeah, it's not the kind of thing where, like, the level does not necessarily seem to reflect the exact tone of the music as representatively or as divergently as something like Audio Surf. That being said, maybe that's why there's a level editor in the game, so you can add that kind of tone and feel yourself. I like that the auto generation does exist, because for someone who is a casual player like me, it means I can play my own tracks without actually having to muck around in the level editor, which is something that I am more or less not capable of really doing. Oh, okay. So I just realized that this is totally like a violin version of the opening theme for Spelunky, which is cool. Or the menu theme, I should say. So we'll let some of these come through. This is going to be a shorter Let's Look At, as oftentimes a lot of these end up being. What are my thoughts on Soundodger Plus? It's good, man. It's if you're into this kind of thing, this is a game that is totally going to be up your alley, and that's a total cop-out of a way to do your impressions. But if you liked Symphony, if you liked Audio Surf, if you're the kind of person who, has a vast music collection or wants to have a vast music collection and is totally into kind of new ways to experience it, then I would recommend this. It's pretty cheap. It's got a great built-in soundtrack as well from kind of chiptune and video game noteworthy personalities and composers. And in addition to that, as a cop-out again, it's got kind of endless replayability if your music collection can hold up, and especially if you're into either checking out user-generated tracks or if you are interested in creating your own tracks. That being said, on an arcadey standpoint, is this as addictive as something like Audio Surf? I don't necessarily think so. Audio Surf is the kind of game, at least when it came out, people would lose hours and hours of their lives trying to set new high scores on their favorite tracks. Whereas in something like Soundodger Plus, it seems like a more zen-like experience. It's kind of like playing Osmos at the same time that you're listening to your music. It's just kind of something to occupy your brain with and kind of renew your focus on the music you're listening to. Because oftentimes, you put on music while you multitask, and then, you're tabbing around in your browser and maybe playing another video game at the same time. You don't necessarily have a conscious appreciation for it. This is a tool that maybe you can use to get a more conscious appreciation for it. That being said, it definitely helps if you're not talking over it and you can actually experience the music a little bit more fully. But I don't think this is going to be the kind of game that's going to be as addictive as some of the more arcadey and score attacky type games that kind of use the same mechanic of user-generated tracks or, auto-generating a track based on your MP3s. But from an audio and visual standpoint, it's a very relaxing game to play, and I think it's the best looking of its genre that I've ever played. Now, mind you, I have not played Audio Surf 2 yet, which has just come out on Steam Early Access earlier this week. So it's kind of a weird situation where these games are going to be going head-to-head for like the first time I've ever seen two very, very niche games in all likelihood kind of coming out at the same time. But certainly, I can offer muted praise for Soundodger. It's not the best game I've ever played in my life, but does it succeed at what it's trying to accomplish? I absolutely think so. The only question is whether what it's trying to accomplish is something that interests you or doesn't. And I think for the majority of people, it probably won't be. It'll probably just be like a distraction for a little while. But there's a certain contingent of people out there, I am sure, who are totally down with what Soundodger Plus is trying to offer here, and I would definitely encourage them to check this game out on Steam. It looks like this is a very, very long track here, by the way. I know people probably wanted me to use, like, Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up or something, but you gotta be cautious about YouTube's copyright system, which is always why I'm wary about using music that is not on the disc, for lack of a better word, for these videos. But, I thought about using the Vancouver song from the Northernlion Live Super Show. I totally should have used J. Smithtown, Up, Down, All Around, but it's okay. It's long since passed at this point. You can do that for yourself if you want. Just go check out the video on Indie Mouse's channel. But this is also a good opportunity to talk about that the Spelunky official soundtrack is out and awesome, so forgive me for killing two birds with one stone, or as they say on Trailer Park Boys, getting two birds stoned at once. So we'll just continue dodging here. This is a very good example of what I mean when I say that this game is a little bit more zen-like, meditative, and perhaps even relaxing than, again, a game like Audio Surf, where you're constantly doing something and your brain is really getting into this flow state. Whereas in this, I kind of feel like I'm just moving my mouse around a little bit, dodging some blocks, and enjoying the music. So it's much more of kind of like, I don't know. This is something it's a game you'd put on if it didn't require active thought. You'd put it on while you were like eating a nice halibut dinner paired with a red wine or something like that. Whereas Audio Surf is like you slam a Monster Energy drink and then, not sleep for 2 days and get the high score on Wolf Parade's All Believe in Anything. We're gonna finish this song momentarily. It's a lot longer than I thought it was, but that's good because I got hit right at the end. That's gonna cost me my 100%. Oh, that's frustrating. Oh well. 99%, that's fine. Anyway, this is Soundodger Plus. It's available on Steam at the link in the video description below. $5.99 for its opening week sale, $8 after that. I encourage you to check it out if you're into this kind of thing. If you're not, you can totally just ignore it, and that's fine. But if you're the kind of person who likes to kind of do something else that's focused on their music while they listen to their music and maybe appreciate it a little bit more consciously while having some fun at the same time, this could be up your alley. If you're the kind of person who wants to muck around with a level editor, totally, I would encourage you to check this out. Good price, good game, and a good way to experience your music in kind of a new light. As always, thank you for watching. Again, most important thing, and I'm going to say in this outro, link for the store pages in the video description below. Check it out if you're interested. As always, if you like the video, likes on the video are appreciated. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more first impressions of indie games and other games in the future. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time.